Welcome to Between Product and Partnerships, a podcast focused on bringing together product, partnership, and engineering leaders to discuss how to build, support, and scale SaaS ecosystems. Presented by the SaaS Ecosystem Alliance and sponsored by Pandium, an integration platform and marketplace for ecosystems. Hi, everyone. Thanks for listening in. For those of you that are new to our podcast, welcome. I'm Liz Garcia. I'm one of the community managers for the SaaS Ecosystem Alliance, and I'm also on the marketing team at Pandium. Today, I'm speaking with Rish Bandari. He's the founder and CEO of Content Beta, which is a content studio for B2B SaaS companies. Thank you for being with us today, Rish. Can you tell us a bit about your background and Content Beta?
Thanks, Liz. Thanks for having me on this podcast. So I run Content Beta. We are a media production studio for B2B SaaS. We work with close to 80 SaaS now to help them with content for product marketing and customer education. Stuff like videos, podcasts, like designs. So we work with 80 plus B2B SaaS to help them with product content for product marketing and customer education. Most common problems which SaaS marketers come to us that, hey, our product is great, but how do I communicate that to the audience? Or we just launched an integration. How do I launch this? What kind of content do I use? What kind of content do I use at different stages of funnel? But before we jump onto those, really love to learn what questions Liz has for me.
So to talk a little bit more about Content Beta and what you work with, and to frame the conversation, why should content and video marketing be a strategic priority for SaaS companies, and where do you suggest that they start with creating video content?
Sure. Content and SEO, I mean, nobody needs education, how valuable they are, and it's and most SaaS will always agree that the early you invest is better. Now, content is multiple mediums, right? It could be audio, could be like how you're recording right now, could be text, which is blogs, which get you more organic traffic, and videos, which is also getting more attention from Google search engines these days. So that's the kind of mediums through which we can think about content. Now in the world of software industry, creating a product from scratch, I think you'll see tons of other options on AppSumo or SaaS Mantra, where people copy somebody else's product, even maybe the user interface directly. But what you can't copy is the way they acquire users, the way they onboard users, the way they make their users adopt their product. And I think content plays one of the key role in these areas. Another part is in the world of scarce attention span, where people are no longer wants to read long form content. It could be long form blogs or long form videos. I think short form engaging content is picking up pace, right? And non-textual content, which is more visual content, is definitely more engaging and more effective. It also adds more trust to your own brand as compared to just text. Decision making for SaaS is no longer around feature, right? So if I am trying to adopt a SaaS or make a purchase decision for SaaS, my focus is more around the overall experience and how the support is as a customer. And when I see a lot of self-serve content, I think I'm excited as a prospect that, hey, this software could help
me. Can we talk a little bit more about where SaaS companies can start with their video marketing strategy?
So a lot of big companies like Intercom, HubSpot, Ahrefs, they have their in-house team, right? A lot of mid-scale companies, they would go to agencies. But if you're a startup and if you don't have budgets, I think the great way to start with your content marketing, video content marketing, is using Loom or Video, right? If you're a founder, just see which of your blogs are performing and create a video content around that with really cool advice or something more tactical than what you've written in the blog, and publish it on YouTube. YouTube will give you more weightage to your blog with a video embed than just a textual blog. And probably your video will land on a higher ranking than your existing blog. So I think that's one way on the marketing side. On the how-to side, the most common example which we see is creating Loom how-to videos. And I understand that, hey, I'm not an instructor, I'm not a teacher. How do I teach it? My advice is just write down a script. Right? Because when you write it down, although the product is in your head, but when you write it down, it's clearer in terms of how you should sequence your ideas or your dialogues to make sure that your goal is met or the video is effective. So I think starting with Loom is pretty good. But one thing which I see increasingly where people are paying attention is the production quality. So invest in a good microphone. Invest in a in a place where there is no background noise. There are lots of apps like Crisp AI which will mute your background sound. So invest in tools and technologies so that you could improve your production quality, because in this world today, you know how many videos are being uploaded on YouTube every second. Your content will be lost. If your content quality is substandard, your audience won't respect it because, excuse me, I have something else to watch instead of this crappy quality content. So yeah, so invest in tools and technologies to make sure that you go. I understand you don't want to go towards agency standard, but even if you want to go to a good production quality, just go there.
Yeah, and to dig a little bit into, what you were talking about as far as, content being a vessel to get customers to engage and adopt with a product. I did listen to your interview with Benjamin Bowman, where you talked about how um, video marketing in the middle of the funnel is a gap that you noticed. So I wanted to ask you about, how can SaaS companies ensure that their content and their video marketing not only educates their potential customers at the top of the funnel, but how does it translate, or how can you get it to translate to more conversions, more sales, and higher product adoption?
The problem which I see with content marketing with B2B SaaS today is mostly they're focused on top of the funnel, right? Things like explainer videos, which are mostly animated, really good production quality. But the goal of top of the funnel content is only to make your prospect interested in what you do, right? The goal of top of the funnel content is never to support your research or support your decision making process, right? Or even adopt your signed up users. So I think there's a big gap which I see in the middle to bottom of the funnel and even after customer conversion. For instance, if I'm a SaaS and I want to uh, I want to engage my audience in the middle and bottom of the funnel, what I would do is I would showcase different use cases, different features. I would even get more social proof that, hey, this is how my customer is using it. Either they have switched it from some other software, or maybe they would be doing something else, and then they met this product, right? So I think social proof, use case, features, I think that are pretty important features more in the mid and bottom of the funnel. After conversion, um, how to content, right? But what I see on the internet is very typically the founders or the customer success leaders would record a Loom video, right? And no attention is paid to script or instructional design. I mean, you're not telling about a product and teaching a product are two separate things, right? And the content for teaching is different from the content about just telling. And I think those are the two areas where I see there is enough scope for SaaS marketers or SaaS product managers to scale their content so that they could convert and retain their customers.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's really great advice. And, I recently actually saw this survey by Gartner where it said that 77% of B2B SaaS buyers said that their latest purchase was difficult or complex. And I feel like that type of content, especially in the middle of the funnel, makes it easier for buyers to make decisions without necessarily having to request a demo or speak with you face to face every single time that they're thinking about making a decision on your product. So I think that's definitely great advice. So after you create, so some of the content, you mentioned some examples of different content that you could create in the middle and the bottom, towards the bottom of the funnel. Once that's created, how can SaaS companies actually leverage that content after creation? What promotional channels would you recommend here? Are there any unique examples that you've seen?
So there is no one promotional channel which will work for you because there is different audience. So somebody, it's very similar to how a student learns, right? Somebody learns, somebody is an auditory learner, somebody understands by reading, somebody understands by watching. So my suggestion would be to be present on every medium, on every channel, right? Because you don't know where how your customer is going to react. If you've already spotted a trend, maybe that you could use that, right? If you've seen that, hey, my customers are mostly researching on social media, or maybe they are researching on YouTube, maybe you could be there. But generally speaking, I think being present on different channels, and I'm not saying you have to create different content pieces for different channels. You could repurpose the same content and make it suitable for that particular channel. Let's say you've recorded this podcast. Now, how do you reuse this, right? So you could create publish this video recording on YouTube. You could extract audio out of it, mix it with some intro, outro, make a podcast channel on Spotify or Apple Podcast. You could create clips of this conversation, put it up on social media. Could be 30-second clip, could be 1 minute clip. You could convert, make a transcription, transcribe this podcast, and convert it into a blog, right? So that it is indexed by a Google search engine, and people could come in if they had a specific question. So there are multiple ways you could repurpose your existing content so that you could be present everywhere on each of the channels. In terms of what I see picking up in terms of type of content is content which involves social proof, right? Stuff like testimonial videos or customer videos, right, or partner videos. The advantage of that is, so as a company, I could say something, a proposition worth 10,000 words, right? But if a customer says same thing in few words, I think that's far more valuable than a company saying it. And I mean, everybody knows the best marketing is social proof, and there is no better social proof than the real face and voice of your customer. So if somehow you could capture your customers' conversation uh, in a more storytelling way. So, for example, if you switch from a competitor, if you have demonstrated a use case for your audience, or if you could record a conversation with a client who almost was not going to convert. So maybe he had lots of objections, and have a conversation about how they solved it and record it, right? And you could mix them together to create like social proof content for your product, which could be used at middle and bottom of the funnel.
No, that's great advice. And for that testimonial content, that obviously can be leveraged as video content and potentially a case study. Any way else that could be utilized, or have you seen that be utilized to get that out to more people and showcase that?
So there are a couple of more ways. So there could be a long form PDF, right? Normally, I would recommend to avoid that because in this world, nobody wants to read like a 4 page of PDFs. So there are videos. You could slice the same conversation into short clips. You could use them on your video ads on social media, or even publish on your company social media profile. You could even make code graphics out of it and publish it everywhere. You could even convert, like if you have like 10 testimonial videos, right? You could even create a mashup to show the benefit of your product, or maybe a product demo which is complemented with social proof. So I think there are multiple places you could use social media video testimonials. One more thing which I see increasing usage is during prospecting. So especially when somebody is agreed for a conversation or a call, and they have reservations about joining it, or maybe they're busy, you could use social proof to entice them to talk to you more, talk to you about the product. I think so. These are the ways I would repurpose my video testimonials.
No, yeah, those are great examples. I actually saw a social post on LinkedIn recently where someone pointed out this SaaS company called Dooley, and they used their testimonial in a really unique way where instead of when you went straight to their landing page, instead of just like a random image on their banner, they actually use the customer's testimonial with their face, so that as soon as the customer went on their website, that was one of the first things that they saw. And I feel like that was a really great way to, have customer testimonials just like front and center as soon as, potential users or customers, go onto your website and see your product. So that was something that I saw that was really unique. I really like that. So
in terms of content, I mean, I was watching Pete Laja's webinar yesterday, and I think he said something pretty interesting. It's easy to, but it's far more 10 times more effective to motivate your audience to try you out versus removing the barriers, right? So the way you present your value proposition, your benefits, even your website copy, right? The way the messaging you use to motivate your audience to try out, I think that makes a difference. Not making a better UX or making a better website or something.
100%. And to pivot specifically to talking about marketing around technology partnerships and integrations, I know I mentioned before that that's where our audience primarily lies. And so, B2B customers, their tech stacks are getting more complex, right? They're now expecting software to be interoperable with each other. And because of this, technology partnerships, amongst a lot of other things, are starting to be seen as a go-to-market channel as well. And it's particularly a way to get in front of your partners, customers, right, and prospects that are in your ICP. So what advice do you have for marketing integrations and technology partnerships? How is that similar or different to some of the examples that you've already given? And any structures of content that you've seen be successful there?
Sure. So in terms of technology integrations, I think of them in two perspectives, right? Either you are an ecosystem, for example, you are Shopify or Salesforce or HubSpot, where you would integrate with thousands of other apps, right? Or you could be like a technical product who would integrate with people like HubSpot or Salesforce. And I think the way content is used for both of them are different. For instance, if I'm a say micro SaaS, right, and let's say I'm Shopify app, let's say Klaviyo, or if what Leadfeeder is for HubSpot. So my goal is, so the way my ICP will discover me is through their app store, most likely the ecosystem app store. And the way I have to make myself visible is by showing that how easy I am to integrate, or what is the benefit I'll give you after you integrate me, right? And the content is mostly around technically how to do something with this app, right? It's more around technical how to. That's the kind of content which works in the space where you want to be known as, hey, this is a cool app to integrate with my existing app. If I'm an ecosystem, like let's say I'm Shopify, and I want to, what I would do as content marketing in terms of my content marketing, and I would show different use cases, because I'm not trying to capture audience from my integrating app. I'm trying to sell to my existing audience that, hey, you could also do something with Shopify. For example, Google Analytics has to say that, hey, you could also see which B2B brands have visited your website, and not just the country and the time duration, right? So that's the kind of difference in content which I would say.
And you brought up app marketplaces, and these could be either public or an app, and I think that is also a great channel for marketing integrations and getting your product for in front of tech partners or in front of new customers. We actually recently released a study where 86% of the 100 largest SaaS companies had at least public-facing marketplaces, and we're noticing that that's also becoming, SaaS companies are recognizing the importance of integrations to potential customers and also their current customers. So that kind of content that you mentioned, as far as like use cases and demonstrating how to actually use the products together, is super important for that enablement, and also showing that these products are connected. Well, that was the last of my questions. Rish, thank you for being with us today and sharing with our audience. Is there anywhere where our audience can connect with you? LinkedIn, Twitter, etc.?
You could find me as Rish Pandari on LinkedIn, or you could reach out to contentbeta.com. We could help you in your next video requirement.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the content, subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up. If you're someone who is working on building and scaling SaaS product partnerships, we invite you to apply to be a member of our community at SaaSecosystemAlliance.com.